He was just a homeless orphan sleeping in a cold garage, until one broken machine changed everything. What he built next shocked the world. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe for more true, powerful stories that will leave you speechless. In a small, forgotten corner of Detroit, where broken dreams litter the cracked sidewalks and factories stand like ghosts of a better past, a little boy named Jamal Carter stood by the window of an orphanage watching the world pass him by. He was just 8 when the car crash took everything from him: his mother, father, and the tiny apartment they called home. No relatives came to claim him, no friends visited. Jamal had been dropped into a world that moved fast, with no one to hold his hand. He wasn't just another orphan. He was the quiet one, the one who didn't cry, the one who held onto an old photograph of his parents like it was oxygen. Other kids fought over toys, but Jamal sat in the corner sketching strange machines and scribbling ideas into a crumpled notebook someone had thrown away. The staff called him the little genius. But no one really believed he'd go anywhere. After all, where could a boy with no family, no money, and no future go? At 17, Jamal aged out of the system. No foster family, no scholarships, just a bag of worn clothes and his battered notebook, now filled from cover to cover with inventions and ideas. He walked the streets for days, applying for odd jobs, sleeping in bus stations and park benches, until a mechanic named Rick Morales saw him resting outside his auto shop one rainy night. "You all right, kid?" Rick asked, handing him a sandwich. Jamal nodded, but said nothing. Rick didn't press. Instead, he said, "You need a place to crash? The garage out back's got a couch. You keep the place clean, help out, and it's yours." That garage became Jamal's world. By day, he swept floors and fetched tools. By night, he worked on salvaged electronics and broken gadgets Rick let him keep. The smell of oil mixed with dreams of innovation as Jamal tinkered in silence, teaching himself code and circuits from library books and YouTube videos. He didn't have a degree. He didn't even have a high school diploma. But he had obsession, drive, a fire so fierce it burned through every wall life threw at him. Then came the turning point. One afternoon, Rick's old diagnostic tool broke down. It was essential to the shop's survival. Jamal offered to fix it. Rick laughed. "Kid, that thing costs $5 grand. It's toast." But that night, Jamal stayed up for 14 hours straight, carefully rewiring, debugging, and improvising. The next morning, the tool blinked back to life. Rick was speechless. "How in the world?" Jamal shrugged. "Just thought I'd try." Word spread. Soon, other mechanics brought him broken tech. He never charged them, only asked for their discarded parts. Every broken piece was a treasure, a puzzle to solve. In less than 2 years, he developed a portable diagnostic scanner using only junkyard components and an old smartphone. It was faster, cheaper, and more efficient than anything on the market. But Jamal didn't know how to sell it. He didn't have connections, he didn't know business, he barely had money for food. That's when fate took another swing. A young woman named Tasha Morgan, a software engineer from Chicago, had her car break down outside Rick's shop. While Rick fixed the engine, Jamal offered her a cup of coffee and showed her his invention. She was blown away. This is incredible. Do you realize what you've made?" Jamal smiled, a bit embarrassed. "It's just something I put together." Tasha wasn't just any engineer. She had startup experience. She offered to help Jamal pitch the scanner at a local tech expo. He hesitated. "I don't even own a suit." She bought him one. They stayed up every night for 2 weeks preparing the pitch. Jamal was terrified. On stage, his voice cracked, hands shaking. But he told the story of the scanner and, more importantly, the story of his life. I slept in garages, on benches, sometimes under bridges, but I never gave up building because I believed one day something I made could matter. The room went silent. Then applause erupted. By the end of the week, they had 5 angel investors offering seed money. And that's how J-Scan Tech was born. The company started in Rick's garage with just 3 people, Jamal, Tasha, and Rick. They didn't have fancy offices or expensive equipment, but they had vision, grit, and one genius product. In just 18 months, their scanner was adopted by over 500 auto shops across the country. In 3 years, they expanded into aviation and marine diagnostics. By year 5, Jamal was on the cover of Tech World magazine, the orphan who built a multi-million-dollar tech company from a garage. But money never changed him. He still drove the same pickup truck Rick gave him. He still visited the orphanage every week, donating books, laptops, and time to kids who reminded him of himself. One afternoon, as he sat reading to a boy named Caleb, the child asked, "Were you ever scared, Mr. Carter?" Jamal paused. "Every day," he said softly. "But I was more scared of becoming nothing than I was of failing." And just when life seemed full circle, tragedy struck again. Rick, the man who gave him shelter when no one else would, passed away from a heart attack. Jamal was devastated. He delivered the eulogy himself. "He gave me a couch, but more than that, he gave me belief. And every company, every success, every newspaper headline, it all started the day someone saw value in me when the world didn't." To honor Rick, Jamal created the Morales Initiative, a foundation that funded vocational and tech education for underprivileged youth. Thousands of kids received scholarships, internships, and startup grants. He didn't just build an empire, he built a ladder for others to climb. 10 years after sleeping in that cold, oily garage, Jamal stood inside a 40-story building, his company's new headquarters. The walls were glass, the logo was gold. But on his desk, framed in silver, was that same crumpled notebook from the orphanage and a photo of him, Rick, and Tasha, taken in the garage where it all began. A reporter asked him during a live interview, "Mr. Carter, what's your secret?" He smiled. "There's no secret, just refuse to quit. Refuse to believe where you came from defines where you'll end up." The camera cut. The lights dimmed. Jamal looked out the window, his eyes scanning the skyline. And for the first time in his life, he whispered to himself, not as a boy without a home, but as a man who built one. "Mom, Dad, I made it."